Good morning, everybody. How was your long weekend?
It's good. Yeah,
All
how's
right,
yours?
there we go. It's nice. You do anything fun?
Not stayed local, hung out with friends, barbecued, hung by the pool. Yeah.
Nice. Like I went to a pool party and that was the most epic thing I think I've done all summer long. It was a little bit too wild for me, frankly. But good stuff. Good stuff. So
Nice.
I'm going to go get some of the stuff up and running on my end. Now's a great time for everybody to go grab, a cup of water, some coffee, whatever's clever, maybe a snack, and we'll get started in about 5 minutes.
Cool. Sounds good.
Oops. Okay. We got over here. I don't know if they have us open up in the training room, but that's okay. Alrighty. Okay, it looks like we got some new people on. So first things first, who is new to the Ignite classes who's on here right now? No one? I could have sworn I saw a couple new people. Maybe not. Sounds good. So before we start, usually every single class I like to go over what we've done for lead generation. If you are new, if you're not new, I talk about the daily 10-4 very frequently. Part of the daily 10-4 is to make sure we're trying to at least contact 10 people every single day to have a discussion about real estate some way, somehow. Typically, that would involve a phone call, an email, a text message, a direct message on Instagram. It also includes, just talking to people at the dog park, at the grocery store, whatever it might be. All it is a two-way conversation about real estate. So let's get started first. Christina Breckner, are you new to the class, or it's hard to tell when you see the faces?
Hi, good morning. I'm not new to the class, but I'm still waiting on my license.
Right, gotcha. Are you at least being active and talking to friends, family, being like, hey, I'm about to get my license, et cetera, et cetera?
Absolutely. I keep talking about it at work, at the dog park, at the gym, just letting people know I'm in the business.
Atta girl, good stuff, good stuff. All right, Alan Ongst, I'm going to mispronounce that. I apologize. Alan.
Yes.
Are you new, or is this a reoccurring?
Yeah, this is my second week.
Perfect. And how has your lead generation been going? Have you been talking to people? Get any leads that you want to share with us? Anything that went right? Anything that went wrong?
Yeah, it's been going pretty well. It's been mostly on social media, just like on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, pretty much everything. So I got 2 buyers from that and 1 lease that's pending right now. So that's worked out pretty well. I haven't really done cold calls yet, but that's my next step. Probably get the Mojo dialer or something like that. But right now, just kind of getting my bearings and figuring out everything and trying to help this lease because he needs it ASAP. So
nice. Those are our favorite kind of clients, people who need stuff ASAP, because that usually means the fruits of our labor are seen a little bit sooner than later, so to speak. Very good. Good stuff, man. And how about Alyssa Mraz?
This is my second week too. I'm still waiting on my license, but I started an Instagram page, just letting everybody know that I am getting my license and I'm training right now. And then I made a few connections with some family friends, and so I added them to my contacts on command. And that's about it.
That's awesome. How are you liking command? It's a little bit tricky to figure out at first, but you know, I think it's a nice way to keep everybody in one place.
Yeah, you really just have to play around with it like for one night and just like see what you could find and learn that way.
I feel you. Perfect. Awesome. Well, keep it up. Good stuff. Monica Cowan.
Yeah, hi. This is actually my first week. I've been attending the pre-recorded Ignite, so like I'm on like number 4. Like we
Awesome.
recorded previously. Yeah, so I feel like I'm getting my bearings, contacting friends and family, and trying to get everything registered with MLS. So still trying to get everything going, but we're getting there.
I hear you. I hear you. You know, the one thing that I think is the hardest is the first like month or so in real estate. It's like getting everything set up. You know, there's a lot of different classes and all that fun stuff. So good stuff. Get after it. Good job. All righty, Crystal.
Hi, everyone. My name's Crystal Rogers, and I am not new to the office, but I was a referring agent for a while after being a full-time agent for many years, starting in 2004. So I'm jumping back in, and I'm in the same boat with getting command set up. I may be purchasing another home for myself and renting out my existing one. So just getting my sphere of influence together, getting my feet wet, learning everything since I've been gone, catching up on all the purchase agreements, and just making sure that I'm clear on everything since I've been out of the loop and ready to decide how I'm going to market, whether it's going to be a combination of door knocking or social media. So yes, I'm in the beginning as a newbie, feeling like a newbie all over again.
You know what? It's a great time to be. You know, that's awesome. You know, listen, I always say personally for me, whatever you can do to try to do some form of face-to-face, like door knocking, talking to people at the grocery store, dog park, whatever, becoming friends with your neighbors. I'm hosting a client and friend appreciation event, which I'm a little nervous about because I don't know how many people are going to show up because of COVID. But you know, whatever you can do to try to get in front of people, I really think is the best bet. It just builds so much more rapport, just so much faster. But good stuff. I love to hear it, Crystal. Thank you for sharing. That's awesome.
Thank you.
All righty, Michael Brown. You there, Michael?
Yes, I am. I am. It's my 3rd month in the business. That both have sold and they're closed. That was in a different market. I started out in the Central Valley actually, and just for down here. So I'm still kind of getting everything set up with command, the MLS, and things like that. So I'm hoping.
Nice, man. Good stuff.
So I can start calling like that.
Nice. Well, welcome to LA. I think you'll love it. And it is definitely a lot of fun practicing real estate here. That's for sure. Well, welcome. All righty. Stephanie Sheridan.
Hi, I'm finally back. Just getting set up today. So like everyone, getting command set up and MLS, all that kind of stuff, but registering for all my classes. And I am excited to start going door knocking in my neighborhood. So that'll be something new that I can start this week.
Love it. Absolutely. Good job. Keep it up. And welcome back. I think Stephanie was doing a bike tour. Is that correct?
Yes, we did a 7-day bike ride across the state of Iowa called RegBri.
Cool. Good job. Good job. Awesome. All right. Hey, listen, bike clubs here in LA, like if you do like any I don't know, long distance bike rides or whatever with groups or whatever, great way to meet clients.
Yeah, that is a good idea.
Absolutely. And especially because of bikes, a lot of people here, Some of their bikes cost more than cars, so you can find some people with disposable income. Good stuff. All righty, let's see who I was going to call on the next person, but something just switched on me. Lita Novin. All right, sounds good. Matt Wheeler.
Yeah, what's up? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Are you is this your first class, or have you been on the classes before?
I've been on, this is probably like my third week. I sort of came late, but it's like my third, almost fourth week. I've mainly been inputting my contacts into Command. I've also been, honestly, I've been on Instagram a lot, like reaching out to people, like everyone that I know. I think I actually might have, I ran into through Instagram, I think I might have a guy who's looking to sell his house. It's just in a different country. So I'm talking with my mentor right now, trying to figure out if that's like a possibility. But other than that, yeah, I've actually been going to Caravan. So I'll meet a lot of people there. So that's been helping as well. But yeah, I've mainly been using social media. Instagram and Facebook is like crazy good, but
that's fun. Yeah, I mean, Instagram, Facebook, social media, those are some of the best ways that I can think of also just to get out to people in mass, like really just, you can highlight, copy, paste. You can send multiple messages to multiple people. If you have groups or whatever, you create events, and I definitely love that function about Facebook and Instagram. And, I think that one, it's great to reach out to people, but it's also a really great opportunity. Whenever I use, Facebook or Instagram, I try to connect with people. I haven't been really doing it lately. I've kind of been having fun with, my Instagram, showing I've been going parties and stuff or whatever. But, when I'm, in lead generation mode, a lot of the stuff that I focus on putting on my Instagram or my Facebook is like a heartfelt testimonial or something, especially my stories. I'll talk about, a recent sale that I had or something. And it's a great way to connect with people. And it's also a great lead generation tool. So good stuff. I love it. All righty. Pinar Gurel.
Hi, Jared.
Help me out with that.
Pinar. I will
Pinar,
change.
okay.
Yeah. How are you?
It's just the space thing that threw me off. So no worries. Awesome.
It's okay. It's okay.
How are you? How's lead generation going? All that fun stuff.
I just got my license last week. It's official. And this is my fourth Ignite class. It's going good. It's going good. So I have to systemize, let me put it that way. So I'm trying to figure out which way would work better for me, because even I'm at a stage even if I talk to my friends and my neighbors at the background, I know that I'm not ready. So I'm trying to at least make this first path for myself to feel more confident.
So I heard you say, I'm not ready. Why do you feel you're not ready?
It's just very new. I mean, I've been working on it, but I didn't have any hands-on experience. So if something comes up, I don't know what to do now. I can't figure it out. I don't know what to do.
Sure, not a problem. Well, that's why we're all here, and that's why we talk about these things every morning. And it's not like a pick on thing, because I guarantee you, half of the people on this call probably feel the exact same way. But the truth of the matter is I like to say trial by fire. And because the hardest thing that you're going to do is just putting yourself out there. Once you get an actual lead, once you actually get a client saying, yes, I want to sell my house, or yes, I want to buy a house, or yes, I want to lease my property or rent a property, that's when the easy part comes. I promise you. The hard part is just getting yourself out there and saying, you know what, I'm good enough. I know what I'm doing, and let's do it. Even if you don't think that you know what you're doing, I promise you do. If you have your real estate license, you know what you're doing. I promise. Okay. And the truth of the matter is yes, when you get your first listing, I had this moment of like, oh my God, how do I even fill out the contract? And that's fine, just be like, great, you know what? When I get back to my office, I'll type up the contract and send it out to you. I'll probably be able to get to it, maybe sometime tomorrow. Worst case scenario, day after tomorrow, have it in your inbox. And why do I say that? Because you are going to want to look through it very carefully.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to want to make sure you mark out everything. And then you can just blame it on being super busy and that you just want to make sure that everything is filled out correctly from the get-go. And no one's going to fault you for that. No one's going to think you're weird. No one's going to think you're inexperienced. You're just going to say, listen, whenever I'm typing up new contracts, I want to be very accurate. And I want to dedicate, at least an hour of my attention to it. I know that I have some time tomorrow, so let me get it out to you then. And then literally call me, another experienced agent in the office. Kristen Toll is like a brilliant when it comes to contracts and filling those out. So, I definitely recommend taking her classes whenever she teaches them, and all that fun stuff. So I promise you, if you have a listing or if you have a buyer or you're writing an offer, somebody in the office is going to be willing to help you. And if no one is, you can always call me. All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sounds good. Get out there then. All you got to do is say, hey, you're looking to buy or sell. What's up? Are we ready to rock or what?
Sure.
Maybe use your own vernacular, but still, you get the idea. Good job. Keep it up. All right.
Hi.
Hey, what's up?
Sorry, I just lost connection. I'm Lida.
Hey, Lida, what's up? How are you?
Good. I'm good. Thank you so much. Yeah, so my problem is I have buyer. So I found, so many buyers. I'm talking to people and they're saying, yes, I wanted to buy something. So could you please look it for me? And I'm looking for, the properties that they are interested, but I'm not able to find what they want. And, because of the price range, it's between 500 to 2.5, but I'm not able to find, I'm scared because I feel like I'm disappointing them.
Well, so let me ask you. So their price range is from 500,000 to 2.5 million.
Yes, I have 4 buyer.
Oh, okay, I got what you're saying. Okay, not a problem. So what I typically like to do for those types of buyers, if they're very picky, what is the biggest issue that's coming up? Is it the quality of the home is not up to their standards, or is it location? Like, what you want to do is you want to troubleshoot it. Why do you're saying that you think that they're, upset or whatever. Let's elaborate on that. What do you think they're upset about?
Well, I think they're not upset about anything yet.
Okay, good.
But
good.
I think I'm failing them to find a good house for them. You know what I'm looking for example, MLS or whatever resources we have. I'm looking for, they wanted to, for example, 3-bedroom house, nice house. It's not like rocket science, but I can't find anything. Even I don't like the houses that I'm seeing on MLS, and the prices is so high, right. And I can't find a good 3-bedroom house on, for example, MLS for 2.5. Actually, I lost the offer. They put 2.5, and the house sold for 3 million. So I don't want it to, be in a state like putting offer and rejecting, and they got disappointed from me, and then they will eventually go and find another agent.
Yeah, but they're going to have the same problem with the other agent. So don't worry about that. So what we can control is just a couple things: our client expectations and their understanding of what's happening in the market.
Right.
If we're able to do that well, a reasonable person will be able to understand, okay, this isn't my agent's fault. This is the market conditions. And so, for example, if I know somebody in this market right now who says my budget is 2.5 million, I'm going to be looking in, price ranges from 2 million to 2.3 million. And why am I really focusing on those properties? It's because I'm looking for something that's probably going to be a little bit of a fixer for them. And because frankly, they might have to go all the way up to 2.5 for a 2.3 listed house, or even a $2 million listed house, depending on if it's a really, low price listing. Now, the other thing that I like to explain to my clients is this: if you're looking for a deal, where you're going to be able to come in at asking price or under asking price, you really have to be looking for one of two things. One, it needs to be listed on the market for over 60 days. Why am I saying that? Because that means it's overpriced. And frankly, the listing agent knows that, the sellers probably know that, and that's where you have the opportunity to come in slightly under asking price. So that's one. And the other one is two, it's probably going to have to be a fixer. And, you can't make something appear that doesn't exist right now. So, if they're saying, well, listen, my budget's up to 2.5 million, but if it's listed for 2.5, I want to get it for 2.3. Kindly explain to them what the market is like right now. And if they still go, I don't care, I want it to be this, well, it's okay to be professionally honest with them and just say, I think you might need to wait until the market changes a little bit, because it's not going to happen right now. It's not realistic. But I have a feeling, though, if you explain it to them in a professionally honest way, that's not insulting or, saying that it's, oh, well, I don't want to look because it's, you're not going to be able to get a 2.5 house. No, it's just like, hey, listen, I understand what you're looking for, but also let's keep in mind what the market is doing right now. Maybe we should be looking at something that's maybe priced around 2.3. Maybe you get it for 2.4 and you have another $100,000 to do some upgrades to make it a little bit more to your liking. Do a little facelift on the interior. If they're still not open to that, this might not be the market for them. I'm just going to be honest. I've dealt with a couple clients and frankly, other realtors who've written offers on my properties. And, we fall out of escrow because, we get into escrow, they do like oh, we're going to investigate the property. And now we're going to ask for $300,000 off. And it's like, we don't need to do that. We can just go find another buyer. So we'll just cancel escrow. And so they learn the hard way. And unfortunately, I know the agent very well, and he's still working with them. They're never going to find a house. They're not. It's just not going to happen in this market. So, you have to be professionally honest with your clients at that point and explain what the market is doing and what are the strategies you can employ to find them something that they can purchase. It just might not be, exactly what they're anticipating. And then also remind them, if they're utilizing a loan, the interest rates are where they're getting the deal. That's where the deal is. It's not necessarily at the asking price, because if you have anybody who understands economic, basic principles, when you have a low supply but a super high demand, obviously prices are going to go up. That's just, economics 101. So talk with your clients. I'm sure you got it. It's not your fault. You just have to explain it to them a little bit better. Sounds good?
Yes, thank you so much. And one more thing, except MLS, are there any resources to look for a house?
Yeah, so there's KW alerts, and that's through Gmail. And what you can do is you can contact, oh God, I don't know, what's his name? I think Richard Schulman is the one who controls KW alerts. I don't have his email off the top of my head, but if you talk to somebody in the office and how to get onto KW alerts, and also our Keller Williams Beverly Hills Facebook page, if you post it there asking for off markets, you might have a chance to find something that's not on the MLS.
Thank you. Sounds great. Thank you.
Perfect. All righty. And just so you know, have I gotten offers under ask price in today's market? Yes, I have. Or sorry, for my buyers, not for my sellers, but for my buyers, have I been able to find a property where they pay under asking price? Yeah, I have, but it was like $10,000 on $1 million house. It wasn't like $100,000 off. It wasn't $200,000 off. So we just want to be realistic with our clients. And how did that happen? It was a perfect scenario where COVID was up and running. It was super, I guess it's up and running again, unfortunately, but it was super bad at this time. It was, during the fall of last year, actually. no, was it the fall? Maybe it was like end of winter. Anyway, something like that. And we found a great property. It was awesome. It was gorgeous. People canceled the showings because they got COVID. Not anyone else's fault, but the agent was panicking. And so I said, hey, listen, we love the house. I know you don't have any offers yet. Here's where we're coming in. We're coming in $10,000 under asking. This is their max price. So I just wanted to let you know if we could go higher, we would, but I think this will be acceptable to your clients. And sure enough, she had them accept the deal. And then we got another like $8,000 off in repairs. So it is possible, but that was like a total of like $18,000 off of like $1 million property. So just keep that in mind. It might not be, there's not a lot of wiggle room, but you can maybe get a little bit. So just keep a lookout. But that was also a perfect scenario. I knew the agent was panicking. I knew that she already had it on the market for a full weekend and no offers. I took advantage of the opportunity that was presented. That's not going to be all cases. If you're going up against multiple offers, you're going to have to probably come in above asking, just the way that things are working right now. And we have to be, realistic on our expectations. Now, if your client says, there's no way I'm going to write an offer that high, write up the offer at whatever they want, just so they can submit it and basically get rejected. You want your client to be rejected at that point. You want them to get used to hearing the word no and them going, well, what do I got to do to get it? I told you, we got to go up a little bit above asking. And that's, it's basically almost like practice rounds, because unfortunately our clients don't believe us all the time. And they have to learn, so to speak. So anyway, hope that helps. All righty, moving on down. Jessica. Going once for Jessica, twice. All right, I'll come back to you later. Chris Taylor.
Yep. How's it going?
How goes it? How's your
Good.
lead generation going?
I'm just getting set up on Command as well. So I'm getting kind of familiar with that.
Cool.
So I'm just kind of working my sphere of influence as well.
Awesome. So, okay. And everybody, I'm not picking on Chris. I've just heard this a lot today so far. I'm just working on my command, setting up my command. That's great. I want everybody to work on that and definitely focus on that. But I also want everybody to make sure they realize talking to people and connecting with them about real estate is more important than that. It is important. It is important to have an operating CRM that you can use it as your database and work on your marketing materials and get your website up and running and do all that fun stuff. Don't get me wrong, it is important. What's even more important, and I'll tell you this, and I'm just being honest with you, my most recent 4 sales, I'm only going off of that because that I know for sure. Not one of them has looked at my website. Not one of them has looked at my business card. Not one of them has looked at my, Facebook, Instagram, or whatever real estate page. All of them just knew me. That's it. They just knew Jared. And I just said, hey, they saw me post something on, I think Instagram was one of them. And they said, oh my God, that was so sweet. I was talking about how, one of my clients just got divorced. She's going through a bankruptcy. And then plus the husband of her kids, who she just got divorced with, moved to the Philippines and basically stopped paying child support. And I just was talking about how emotional that was for me, and that, not all real estate, stories are a happy ending story, but at least this one was as happy as it could possibly be. We were able to get her $100,000 over asking, which was the difference between her not having any money after bankruptcy and actually having, $50,000, $60,000 saved in her bank account. And how her and I had like a nice cry over the phone the other day because we couldn't be in person during COVID. Even I shed a tear while I was doing my Instagram story. And somebody reached out and was like, oh my gosh, I started crying listening to that. I love it. I'm all the way in Santa Barbara, but can you help me? And I was like, absolutely, I can. So that was just, talking about real estate, being vulnerable and, getting it out there. Not once did they go on any of my, websites or any of that kind of stuff. So keep in mind, the name of the game is getting out there and talking to people. But good stuff, Chris. I love it. I know you're going to knock it out of the park. That's awesome. Good stuff.
I had a question too for like, is there for like door knocking, stuff like that? Is there like a script for that? Because I know there's some for like phone calls or whatnot. I don't know if they're different.
So yes, there are some scripts that we're going to go over probably today. But I will say this. I always look at scripts as conversation parameters. So for example, I wouldn't go up and knock on a door and go, "Hi, my name is Jared Medlinski. I'm with Keller Williams, Beverly Hills. I was curious, do you blah, 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 blah." I don't really do that. I knock on somebody's door and I go, "Hi, how are you? My name is Jared. I have a lot of people who are interested in buying in this area. I'm just talking to all the neighbors and asking if you or any of your neighbors are interested in selling or entertaining an offer in today's market." And if they say no, I go, "Well, great. Is there a price that by any chance, if you were offered, you would accept?" "Well, I don't really know." "Well, usually most people have a price. Is there by any chance a possible price that would entice you to possibly sell right now?" And if they said, let's say the house is worth 1.7 million and they go, "Well, I'd sell it for 2. In this market," I'd say, "Great. Would you mind if I took a look at the property? Because maybe I could take some pictures and bring you a buyer." And then sure enough, I guarantee you, if you write something in Facebook or you write something in, KW alerts, "Have an off market, this area, this is the square footage, don't give the address out. If you have a buyer, I'd love to, show them the property." I guarantee you can get a showing, within a week. And then use that as leverage to say, "Hey, listen, this is just me talking to a couple people in my office. If you're really serious and you let me list it, I bet we can get you into contract within 2 to 3 weeks." If they still say no to that, get their information and just kind of like use that as a pocket listing and just kind of talk with people. But my point is I don't really use scripts. I usually just, selling real estate is really about building rapport, I've realized. And in this town, if you're super scripted, it comes off that way and it comes off as disingenuous. So, you're there to help, so get out there. Don't worry about the script. But yes, we do have scripts and I'll show you them. But I want you to make the script your own, if that makes sense,
Right.
I think when we're all talking in our own vernacular, our own vocabulary, we just sound that much better. Does that make sense? Awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Very good, Chris. Thank you so much, man. Okay. Is Jessica there? No? All right. No worries. Ashkan.
Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Yeah, I opened some social media pages and try to market for them.
How's it going?
Well, I follow people, they follow me back, some of them.
Nice. Are you sending them messages?
No, just follow them.
Okay, definitely send them messages. After you follow somebody and they follow you back, write them a little message just saying, "Thank you so much for following. Really appreciate it. As you may know, my business is often made by word of mouth, and I'd really appreciate it if don't say that. I really appreciate it. Just say, out of curiosity, do you know anybody who's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate?" Boom, and just copy paste it and just send it out. Because if we're just doing the ad game, just go ahead and send it out. There's no harm in trying, because every time we don't ask the question is an opportunity lost, in my opinion. So, but good job. I love it. Sounds great. Keep it up.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Now, a couple of these jumped around. So if I start asking people questions and they've already spoke, just let me know and I apologize. Christina Breckner, did we already speak?
We did already speak, but I do have a question for
Yes.
the other people waiting for their licenses. How are you getting access to command?
So that's the other thing, and that's why I'm also saying don't rely on command so much, because if you're not licensed yet, you're not already signed up with the brokerage, you're not going to have access to it. So, don't worry too much about it. For the meantime, just make like an Excel spreadsheet. You get a new client or something like that, or you reached out to somebody, just write their name into a spreadsheet. Buy, sell, invest, yes, no, no. Okay, great. You know that they're not looking to buy, sell, or invest. And then maybe have like a line for referral, question mark. And so then you know to ask them for referrals instead next time. So, it doesn't have to be something, set up like Command. It could be rudimentary or elementary, and just make it very basic for right now. And again, like I like to say, don't focus so much on the command, focus more about the lead generating activities. Command is important, it is. And it's much more streamlined once you have all this stuff up and running. Why? Because you can make landing pages, you can make, social media campaigns through it, all this other great stuff. But until you get, the credentials and all that, you could use Canva, you could use, make an event and use an Eventbrite. You can do Facebook, pages and stuff like that. So there are other ways to go about it. So don't get hyper focused on command is my advice. If I'm going to be completely honest, I know I preach about command very, very often. I'm going to be real. I use my Instagram as my CRM. I use Facebook as my CRM, and I use my MailChimp as my CRM. I barely use command that much. The only time I use command is when I'm making a landing page, if I'm promoting a listing or something, if I'm making a custom property website, if I am, doing stuff like that. And then I utilize that on Facebook or, social media. So, I know that I'm saying you should do it. You should, and I agree with it. You should. Even I don't use it all the time. So it's not a requirement, keep that in mind. So just make sure what's more important is getting out there and lead generating. But at the same time, once you get up and running, you're going to want to have some form of, lead follow-up system. And for me, I usually use like MailChimp and stuff like that. And it seems to work for me. So just keep that in mind, y'all. All righty. Sounds good. Okay. Moving on down.
Sherry,
yes.
I'm sorry, Crystal, I had a quick question.
Yes.
What was that you said when you did the door knocking? And you said, well, let me ask you this, if there was a price to sell your home, what did you say?
I think I said something along the lines of, if there was a price to sell your home, what would that price be? If there were ever a price to sell and that you would accept right now, what would it be?
Okay.
Most people tend to have a number. If there was a number, what number would that be? It's just a variation of that. It all basically the same thing, but yeah. And I would just do that because, most people will eventually, cough out a number. If it's reasonable, within 100, to $200,000 of market price, then yeah, I would go for it. Why not? That's how much they're pretty much going for these days.
And then once they gave you that price, what are you saying then?
Once they gave me that price, I'd write it down. I would say, great. Would you mind if I came inside and take a look? I want to take some pictures. I have a couple clients who I'm thinking of who are specifically looking in this area. I'd like to send them some pictures without the address, of course, and just see if they're interested. And if they're interested, I'll give you a call and we can set up an appointment that works for you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all very, I know it doesn't seem simple right now because we're up and running and starting and stuff, but really when we simplify the process, it just becomes so much easier. Eventually it's going to become like asking for a cup of coffee, like, hey, let's go get coffee. You wouldn't ask yourself, how do I ask somebody for a cup of coffee? You just ask them for a cup of coffee. It's that simple. Hey, are you interested in selling your house? I have a lot of people who are interested in buying in this neighborhood. Nah, not really. Well, are you sure? Because, listen, prices right now, they're going 100,000, 200,000, even $500,000 above asking. Are you sure there's not a price that you'd be willing to sell at right now? In a perfect world, if somebody came in with a bag of cash and they put it on your doorstep, would you accept it? And if so, how much money would have to be in that bag? Okay, well, great. So there is a price that you're willing to sell at. Great. And it's, I'll write that number down and I'll be like, great, well, let me take a look at the property and take a couple pictures. I'll do some research on the square footage and all that kind of stuff. Is there anything that wasn't permitted? Okay, great, cool. And then I'll go back home and I'll do a little bit of research. If I feel the price is within line of what things are selling for, then great. We got something to run with. And I'm happy to sell a house off market if it sounds like a reasonable price. And now personally, I would go for the listing I would say, great, just so you know, I feel I could sell this, very, very quickly. But, would you ask a carpenter to build a house without using power tools? Probably not. If I could do it more efficiently and save you money in the long run because I'm using power tools, I don't know anybody who would say, no, you can only use a hammer and nails. So my point is if you let me list your property, I'm using all the tools at my disposal. And that way, instead of something that could take 3 months, could only take 2 weeks. Would you be open to that? Great. Well, let's list the property. So just have conversations with people. And just try to show them that, hey, you're here to help. So now,
Thank
frankly,
you.
for sure. And frankly, some people are going to be reluctant to listing. That's okay too. We have, our Facebook groups. We have our KW Connect on Gmail. You could send it out without, including the address and just say, hey, I have this off market. If you're interested, please let me know. Then make sure you explain to your clients that anybody that you bring, you're going to be sending them a single party compensation agreement, basically stating that if I bring a buyer, you're willing to pay me the full 5% commission, and that which you will split with the other agent, and you're good to go. But again, don't get ahead of yourself. Focus on talking to the people, getting the information, and getting the listing, or at least the okay to have one-on-one conversations in an off-market capacity. And if once you get that, then call somebody like myself or Kristen or our broker in the office about, okay, what's the best way to go about this? What forms do I need to use? How do I protect myself to make sure I get paid? Stuff like that. But first, worry about getting the actual conversation had. Make sure you have that conversation, and also just get the okay to either have person-to-person marketing, which would be an off-market, or ideally a listing. So that's what I would recommend. Okay. Did I already talk to Jeff Kendrick?
I was on mute and had to step away for a minute. But firstly, Jared, great class and great advice about everything. For me, I'm kind of resetting up a farm. I was farming in an area. I pretty much knocked every single door in that house, in that area, maybe 5 times. I had a listing or 2 over there, and then COVID hit, and then that kind of stopped. So I actually haven't door knocked quite a bit, but I've been very successful with it. So I'm working on kind of deciding about that again in this area. But the main thing that I'm kind of trying to determine is paid lead generation, because that market in itself is very oversaturated, and with various companies that are large, that, is it even worth spending the money? Who is it worth spending it with? Whether it be like cold calling or just other ways to generate leads, because that market in itself is big business for companies selling products to real estate agents, and it can get very convoluted because you're looking at literally a million different products. So that's my main thing, is just like the last thing is the paid lead generation, what I need to do, because it's quite expensive, and it's like, what am I going to get results with?
Right. And so, for example, I'm going to talk about another business real quick. My friend Steven, he makes apps. He works for Apple, and he's an app developer. Well, he used to work for Apple, now he's independent. But anyway, he develops apps. That's his main forte. And I looked at how much he's paying every single month for his marketing expenses. I think it's about like $15,000+ per month. And he's selling a product that's like, $1 on the App Store. So what's my point? My point is yes, paid lead generation does work. I know a couple of real estate teams up in, Washington who have, frankly, secretly, I kind of want to move to Washington, but I'm not going to, because I'm dating somebody who would never move there. Anyway, my point is, oops, sorry, I just found some trash that I needed to pick up. My point is that paid lead generation works, but you also have to be very mindful that there's a lot of big fish in this pond, and they're paying a lot of money. And if you really want to stand out, it's a long haul kind of thing, in my opinion. I would much rather spend my time working on stuff such as door knocking, cold calling, stuff like that. Mainly just because to me, it's better bang for my buck. Now, other than that, I would say maybe cold calling would be a great option. Because numbers are cheap, one. Two, it's the lesser of the two evils. For example, if I'm paying Zillow to, market myself, I spent my first couple of years, I was showing houses every single, week, 2 or 3 houses every single week. But what I found is that most of those people already had a real estate agent, and it was an uphill battle. And I think I ended up spending like $12,000 in my first year of real estate, and didn't get any sales at least from Zillow. So I didn't like it. I personally don't like paid lead generation. Now, on the other hand, there are stuff that you can do, like on Facebook. You could pay, add some money behind your post so you can get your name out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's fine. I see no problem with that. But keep in mind, whenever you're doing any type of social media advertising or anything of that sort, you're probably going to be you're going to probably want to be very proactive in how you're lead generating still. So you're putting money out there to get it out there. But if somebody clicks on it or likes it, and you're not sending them a direct message going, hey, I noticed that you like my post. Is there anything that I can help you with real estate related? If you're not doing that, you're missing your opportunities. Make sense?
Yeah, it's great. It's great advice. I mean, those are all various things that I'm doing, and it's trying to figure out some of the bigger kind of ticket items, like something like Zillow and this and that, and if it's worth it. To me, it's not really in this market, to be honest. And what you said kind of reaffirmed it. And
sure.
Yeah, it's that's kind of like the last piece. Everything else I'm kind of already doing. So, but I've been at this for a few years. So.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I really just feel like, going traditional with door knocking and stuff like that is really the best way to go. I think that, if you hit the point where you're doing, 2 sales a month, then absolutely, put in, $2,000 a month on, Zillow ads and, stuff like that, because you can afford it at that point. But if you're not doing that many sales per month, no, you gotta save that money for, other things, expenses, life, stuff like that. So, I always like to say it bootstrap it until you're really up and running.
Yep. Yeah, that's great. That's really practical advice. People have told me various things like, oh yeah, you got to spend money. Then people have told me what they've spent, and I'm like, yeah, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and it's also, are you making it back? And then also, at what point did they start spending the money? So I mean, I think those are 2 very big things that you have to really understand. And a lot of people, frankly, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And they say that they're doing great, but sometimes you might look them up and be like, oh, you're not doing as good as you claim. So keep that, take everything that you hear with a grain of salt. I'll try to be as honest with you as I possibly can. That's my job in doing this. But a lot of other people, they might not really know, and that's what I've noticed, frankly. So take everything with a grain of salt. You never know. But anyway, good stuff, man. I always say put your sweat equity in. So that's just me. All righty. Mr. and Mrs. Cho, I don't know if I could me.
Yes, hi, how are you?
Hi, did I pronounce that right?
Yes, me. That's cool.
Oh, nice. Good stuff. How are you, and how's your lead generation going?
Actually, I just joined Keller Williams a few weeks ago, so I'm kind of new here. So I don't have any sales experience before, so I'm just kind of nervous to jump in this area. So I just try to take the less classes every day. So actually, I don't have any idea how to generate the leads. So I'm a little bit desperate now.
Sure. I honestly think, and it's not going to be the most comfortable answer, but the number one thing I have to say that really is the number one thing that works, at least for me, is getting out there and just going after it and just having the conversations, knocking on some doors, picking up the phone, calling your friends and family, really getting after it, inviting people out to lunch, being social, I hate to say it, but this pandemic has really, really screwed a lot of people up, like just mentally. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't like hang out with people. Maybe you can if you feel comfortable enough. There's some things out there, such as wearing masks, getting a vaccine, that could really, really help prevent you from getting sick or getting other people sick. And if you're doing things responsibly, yeah, there's no reason why you can't grab a cup of coffee with a friend, And I think it's really difficult for some people to wrap their heads around that. But it is what it is. But I don't want to get into like a whole diatribe about getting vaccinated and wearing your mask. But ask people out for coffee. I really think it helps. Being social with people that you haven't been social with before. One thing that I've done, some of my best sales that I've ever had, were from people that I thought would never want to talk to me again. And, that person's I ended up selling their house because I picked up the phone and called them. It is nerve-wracking. It is. Don't get me wrong. I get nervous when I'm calling somebody that I haven't talked to in years. I'm having an event this Friday where I can have up to 60 people. I'm not even sure if 10 people are going to show. I'm feeling nervous that I'm going to be embarrassed that, I have this big party that I'm sending invites out for and 10 people will show up. I'm embarrassed. Like, oh my gosh, like, ooh. But you know what? Who cares? Nobody knows how many people I invited. Nobody knows how many, people I'm expecting to come. No one really even cares if it's just 10 people who come. So we always have to kind of remind ourselves not to, let our what we call at Keller Williams our drunk monkey. It's the monkey in our brain that's telling us all the negative thoughts that are popping up. You got to just learn how to drown that out and just get out there and just do it. It's not. If I could sum all these 12 classes up in just one word or two words, lead generate. That's it. You just got to do it. And you just got to bite the bullet and do something. And not everything's going to work for everyone. Door knocking is not going to be for everybody. Cold calling is not going to be for everybody. Direct message, marketing is not going to work for everybody. But I'm sure you could find one of those things that does work for you and just go all in on that. It doesn't have to be 5, 10, 12 different marketing strategies. Find one that you feel comfortable doing and that you actually are okay with and just go all in. Set an hour aside every single day just to do that one thing. Really, it should be 3 hours, but if you're nervous, just make it 1 hour. And then after a couple of weeks, make it 2 hours. And after that, make it 3 hours. And eventually you will start seeing progress. But the only thing is that when we're frozen in fear, we rarely will see the results that we're looking for. And I don't know if that's what you're getting at, but so maybe I'm speaking for somebody else on the call, but I think the most important thing is that you need to realize that the lack of action is the number one downfall in this business. So I hope that helped.
Yeah.
But here, feel free to reach out to me at the end of the class or something if you want to chat about it. All righty. Prince Carter. Well, I like your music, Prince. Okay, Alexander Jones. iPhone XR.
Hey, it's Alexandra. Sorry, I was trying to get off
Hey,
mute.
no worries.
What's up?
How are you? What's new?
Ah, I'm doing good. I have a really fun time and I guess a successful time doing the door knocking. And I know I heard a lot of people talk about the website and I really haven't been out and about yet. And really, there's no point in having a, a website to me if you don't have any listings to put on it. 'Cause it's just a
Yeah,
website. So
yeah,
I've
you know,
been, what is, were you
oh,
gonna say something?
no, I was waiting for you to finish. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, for example, like yesterday, I went out just door knocking a neighborhood that I like and probably went around for an hour and a half. And, I look and I see all these pieces of paper that other realtors have left behind because they're going around the same houses and saying the same thing. And so I just switch it up on people. And, we have to add a different type of value than everyone that's going around saying, hey, I'm a real estate agent. And, are you looking to sell your home? And so what I've found that works for me is, I go by, I start a conversation. If they're not interested in selling, then I at least try to see if they know anybody else that's willing or looking to buy or to sell. But I tell them why I'm different. I tell them why I would be a resource and I would be a value. And what I found yesterday is by doing that, just one in an hour's time, I had like 5 people that asked me for my number and my information. And so to me, that means someone's more bought in than, hey, can I leave this for you? Sure, I'm going to throw it away, but yeah, you can leave it for me.
Right.
And I'm just trying to do this. I feel like I have so many things going and just I've had my license for 2 weeks, but I feel like I have so much momentum building up that at any point I'm gonna get like a listing or somebody that is looking to actually buy now instead of in the future, which is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and I will say that's the one thing that when I first got into real estate, I was like, I'm going to, and maybe not this simple, but like, I'm going to make a Facebook page that says Jared Marcus Realty or whatever. And my phone's just going to be ringing off the hook with people who need to buy right now. That hasn't happened yet. Unfortunately, most of my clients that I'm talking with, let's say I met a client tomorrow. Best case scenario usually is that if they say tomorrow, I'm looking to buy a house, we're going to finally be writing offers within 2 to 3 months. Why is that? They need to get pre-approved. They also need to wrap their minds around like what kind of houses they're looking for. We might be looking for houses for a month or two, but when they actually start writing the offers and actually start, doing whatever, it's usually about like 3 months. Now, I have had people where they said, hi, I want to sell my house, and I got the listing that day. There are people who have called me and said, hey, Jared, I want to look to buy a house. And we started looking that day and got them into escrow within 1 month. But those people are usually people who are very, very sure of themselves, which guess what? Most people are not, even if they look it. And they're very action oriented. And guess what? Most people are not. So unfortunately, we have to ask ourselves, what is human nature? And usually when somebody's going to make this large of a purchase, they're going to think about it a little bit. Listen,
Yeah.
I got a lot of friends who, when I go out with, they claim that they're big ballers and, just throw it in the bag, bro. Like, yeah. Yeah. They're leasing their car. They're, living in a very tiny studio apartment, and maybe they have $10,000 saved to their name. So my point is, when we're talking to people, they're trying to get their money right. They're trying to get, things in line. They don't want to be embarrassed that, oh my gosh, they just looked at my finances and I'm, not as, wealthy as I am. We have to keep all of these things in mind and understand it is a process. And I know this isn't the answer that you want to hear, but if you continue your lead generation activities within 4 months, I promise you're going to be writing offers. And just keep at it, because the people we talk with today, 3 months from now, you're going to see them starting to write those offers or sign listings and stuff like that. And then 6 months from now, you should be having more people, every single month, every single week, getting after it.
Yeah.
And a year from now to 2 years from now, that's just that compound effect will just explode. But that only
Yeah.
happens with consistency. And I know that it's frustrating and it's a little bit nerve-wracking, because listen, you go, hey, I'm going to get into real estate, and you're like, okay, where am I going to make money? And I'm not gonna lie, it sometimes takes a little while, but
I tried to go after those expired listings, which I thought would be super quick to just like look on the MLS and go after the ones that expired within the last 7 days. And then I showed up at somebody's house and they're like, yeah, you're the 51st real estate agent that has stepped foot on my doorstep.
Yeah. So
I was like, yeah, maybe not. Maybe I won't do that.
and there's nothing wrong with doing that, though, by the way. There isn't. And that is a good way to get something quicker. Some people that's like their whole forte, that all they do is go after expireds. Personally, for me, that's not what I like to do personally. I like to go up to people who are not expecting me to knock on their door. Why is that? Less competition. Yes, there's more doors I'm going to have to knock on. There's more people I'm going to have to talk to, but I know that maybe only 1 or 2 other realtors have talked to them so far, not 50. So yes, the expired listing might be more inclined to be actionable. But I think personally for me, door knocking and really going after, people who are not expecting to hear from me just works a little bit better. That's just my opinion. That's what works for me. I'm not saying everybody should be doing that. I'm just saying for me, that's what I tend to do. So, but I would really honestly say, stay after it. Talk to your friends, talk to your family members, join networking groups, join stuff like meetups and, whatever. There's a Beverly Hills Chamber of Commerce is having a breakfast on September the 10th at 9 a.m. That's a great event that you could probably go to find some people who are business owners and, stuff like that here in Beverly Hills. So think outside of the box, listen, we're all entrepreneurs now. We're all our own owners of our own companies. We have to look at being social as something different now. Every time we go to a social event is an opportunity to network. In real estate, everybody's a potential client. So keep that in mind and get out there. So hope that helps. All righty, let's jump into the lesson because I really want to get us out of here by 1 o'clock. So we only have an hour to go through 35 pages. So let's do this in hyperspeed time. So thank you everybody for sharing. I hope that these little convos before we get into the materials are helpful. Okay, so this is power session number 6. I hope I'm sharing the screen right now. I am, good. Sell your listing. So we went over our quote unquote daily 10-4, but we really only focused on one, which is contacting people and making sure we're having our conversations. I'm going to relax on worrying about command because I think that's easier for people to dive into rather than actually picking up the dreaded phone and making phone calls. So I want us to focus on our lead generation more than command. But anyway, so today we're talking about handwritten notes. First things first, whenever we're cold calling, whenever we're lead generating, a really great habit to get into, and it doesn't have to be a handwritten note. It can be an email. It can be a text message. It can be a direct message. It can be smoke signals if you're really good at Morse code. But you want to send them a letter of some sort, a text message, whatever. And so for people that we've met, you could literally highlight, copy, paste this if you wanted to. You can highlight, copy it, edit it so it's your own language and what you want to say. Maybe add something personal that you talked about. But it's very simple. Thank you for taking the time to chat with me today or yesterday. It was great to catch up with you and let you know what I've been up to with my business. I'm thrilled to be with Keller Williams, and I'm available to you at any time to be an asset and a resource to you and your family and friends. Please call me whenever a question comes up. I'll stay in touch, and I appreciate and wish you all the best. You might even want to say, oh, and I'm so happy your kids are going back to school. You know, that must be a sigh of relief. Or if they say they're really nervous about it, and I know that you might be a little bit nervous about your kids going back to school, but you know, we're all in this together. I don't know, whatever. Just be personal and try to make it a little bit more, you know, sticking. So anyway, so those are handwritten notes. Again, it's very important to follow up with people that we just talked to. It's just a nice touch. I do like handwritten notes, especially though, because everybody feels really, really happy when they get a handwritten note. It's just nice. Okay, so my favorite little diagram is the funnel. It all begins with what, everybody? What's the number one thing we should be doing?
Lead generate.
Oh, damn, it's almost like it's right on the page. Yes, lead generate. Thank you, Chris. Lead generation, it's super important. We want to capture as many leads as possible. Why? Because not every single lead is going to turn into a client. That's just the truth of the matter. It's just the way it is. So we want to make sure we have leads, because the more leads we have, the more appointments, the more appointments, the more agreements, the more agreements, which is right where we are right here. We want to get into a contract. And the more contracts or more listings we get, the more paydays we receive. And that is the name of the game, y'all. Okay. Being a seller is a seller's fiduciary. So what is this fiduciary, everybody? What is a fiduciary? When we were studying for our real estate exam, I think we had to learn that word. But does anybody remember what a fiduciary is? And can you give me a definition without looking at the page? Because I think I just took it off the page though.
So fiduciary duties are like the strongest amount of loyalty we have to someone.
Sure, absolutely. So what's like another way you can say that? Keeping whose interest at heart at all times? Our interests or our clients' interests?
Our clients' interests.
Absolutely. So what I like to do to simplify the definition of fiduciary is to keep your client's best interests at heart at all times, period. We basically obey what they say. Now, the term that we're using right now in the actual material is a person who is legally or ethically entrusted to manage money or property between two or more parties. I really just like to say it's to keep our clients' best interests at heart at all times. This is a little bit more of a real estate directed approach to it, but whichever one you want to use is fine by me. But being the seller's fiduciary means servicing and marketing their home in the most effective way. There are 3 steps in the critical phase of your listing relationship with any seller. First, some properties are going to need to be staged. Not all properties, but some properties will need some form of staging. Now, does staging mean I'm going to hire the best stager in all of town and they're going to drop $10,000 on the staging and then have a monthly payment to make sure they're, you know, keeping the furniture in the house? Or does sometimes it mean just, you know what, let's declutter this a little bit. You got a half empty bedroom upstairs. You have 6 chairs in the living room. Let's take a couple of those chairs and bring them up to the bedroom upstairs and create a little seating area. Maybe we need to declutter or depersonalize the living room. There's pictures everywhere. Maybe there's, you know, religious items all over the place. You know, we want to market it to the masses. You know, I'm Jewish, but maybe even if they have like Stars of David's or whatever, I might say, hey, you know, let's take that down, because we might have like a super religious Catholic person looking at the house, and you know, we just want to make it look, you know, attractive to everybody. Not saying one religion is better than the other. I'm not saying that at all whatsoever. But I'm just saying to attract other people, you want to make it look as plain as possible, maybe that's not the right word, but depersonalized as possible, so they can imagine their stuff being there. They want to picture their cross instead of a Star of David, whatever you might want to say. But the point is we want to depersonalize. Maybe there's pictures everywhere. You want to take the pictures down. You want to do whatever. So staging doesn't have to mean $10,000-$20,000 on new furniture and movers and putting their stuff in storage. It could also mean just decluttering, depersonalizing, and maybe some like accent pieces and stuff like that. Maybe it's just changing the doorknobs to something a little bit more modern, or maybe changing the knobs to like the drawers in the kitchen, to something a little bit more updated. It could be as simple as that. Next thing on the list is marketing the listing. We want to turn our marketing into something that is systematized. Whenever we get a listing, we are doing X, Y, and Z for our marketing steps. I have a 20-step marketing plan in my listing presentation. Now, a lot of those are just expanded, just to make it look like I'm doing a lot more stuff. But, some of the basics are having a Facebook campaign, Instagram campaign, LinkedIn campaigns. So social media campaigns, you can just say one thing. I list out all three. Talking to other brokerages and sharing the listing with other brokers. Having targeted email campaigns to real estate agents and also your past clients, et cetera, and making sure that you're holding open houses and stuff. So marketing the listing is very important after we make sure we get the property show ready. And then finally, 3 is communicate with the sellers. So by doing all of these things, we are pretty much being a fiduciary. It is awesome. It's not that complicated when we have a listing. The best part is that a lot of the work comes to us when we have listings. So let's elaborate. Stage the property. Think about buying a car. When you look online or see a car on the lot for sale, what attracts you the most? The shiny, clean car with the new tires, or the rusty, dirty one with bald tires? Of course, you're thinking, what's the price? So it comes down to price and condition. You'd be willing to sacrifice a little bit of condition if the price is right. It's the same thing with houses, especially in a competitive market. The homes in the best condition, priced properly, go quickly. And that's what you want for your sellers. Most homeowners know it's important to keep the home clean, bright, and free from clutter while it's on the market for sale. But sometimes taking the extra step to stage a home can make a difference in how a buyer values it, the price the seller might get for it, and how quickly it sells. So goals of staging is to present the best face of the home, to maximize the spaciousness of the home, always allow visiting buyers to envision themselves in the home instead of seeing the seller at every single turn. It's always a fun conversation to have with sellers who have a lot of personal items up there. I had actually almost all of my buyers have been like, oh, but I want to keep this up, or I want to keep that up, or I want to, them to see the pictures of my family going to Cape Cod, or, whatever. Well, we don't know what the client's like, the potential buyers like. Maybe they went to Cape Cod and had a really bad experience there for some reason. I don't know how that could happen in Cape Cod. It's beautiful there, but who knows? Maybe they had a boating accident, and whenever they think of Cape Cod, they think of the accident. My point is you want to declutter and depersonalize everything as much as possible, so the new buyer can envision themselves in the home. Make sense? Also, a lot of the great purposes of staging is it makes the house look bigger. Like I was saying, sometimes it doesn't have to be new furniture, but it could be, maybe we need to take a couple of these, seating arrangements and scatter them throughout the house, or maybe put some of it into storage, because having less stuff in a room makes it look bigger. Okay. All righty. Will staging bring in high offers? So 32% of realtors report a 1 to 5% increase in the offer. 16% of realtors report a 6% to 10% increase in the offer. 3% of realtors report an 11% to 15% increase in the offer. Now, I have something that I love to show people, especially in this class. No, I don't want to be notified of new notifications. 1 second, please. I'm going to show you something on my Instagram real quick. And this is a home that I listed with Sharon Caffey in our office. She's awesome. So if you get a chance to meet her, make sure you say hi. And this was our listing. It was her, I think it was her husband's sister. Anyway, it was a family member of hers. I forget the details on that. But they had a rental property. It used to be the house that they lived in. They got divorced. They kept it together and turned it into a rental property. Now, that being said, the rental property that they had, had not been updated for a very, very long time. I'm already on the page. Okay, great. So this is, can everybody see what's on the page right now?
Yep.
Okay, so it's a house with a empty living room, right?
Yep.
Okay, so this property, when we first listed it, we started showing it a little bit to, people while it was off market. And we just wanted to see how much we could maybe, see what we can get it for before having to put a bunch of marketing dollars behind it and all that fun stuff. We were getting offers at around $1.2 million. The highest I think we received, we didn't even receive them. They just said, hey, if they're willing to take this much, we'll pay for it. But, otherwise we're not interested. That just shows you how little interest there was in the property. So 1.2, 1.3 million, great. So this is what it looked like when we were receiving those offers. Now, if we go to the main picture, this is what it looked like after we staged it. Now, what did we do to make the house look like this? We just painted the interior stark white. We cleaned the walls and then we painted it. I think we did like a semi-transparent stain on the rafters and the roof and stuff like that. We had Meredith Bear come in to do the staging. There was other rooms that are staged too, and I'll show you those rooms in a second. But the point is do y'all see a huge difference in the way this looks versus how that looks?
Yeah, definitely much brighter too.
Absolutely. Now, somebody's going to say, oh, well, that's Photoshop. There's no Photoshop in this picture at all whatsoever. In fact, Photoshop is illegal to use in any of your listings whenever you're marketing it. Why? It's not representing the property accurately. But what they did do is they have a multi-exposure camera and they take pictures at different exposures and different focal points of the room. And then they stitch it all together, bringing out the best aspects of each photo. So everything is in focus. If you look at the sofa, that's in focus. If you look at the window all the way through to the car outside, if you look all the way through the window, that's also in focus. If you look at the rafters, that's in focus. So that's done by, basically, it's called HD Reel. It's a company that I like to use, where they stitch a bunch of different pictures together to give you the best angle and best exposure and best focal point of each picture into one image. So it's actually multiple pictures kind of stitched into one. That is perfectly legal. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, the other thing that was done, there's some lights that were brought into here. Obviously, the painting helped a lot. The windows and the shutters were definitely cleaned. All that great stuff. Now, again, that's what it looked like before. Here's another angle of what this room now looks like. Also, time of day helped quite a lot, but full disclosure. Let's see. And that's what it also looked like in there. Now, here's the difference though. We ended up selling for about $1.7 million. It was actually $1,695,000. They spent $15,000 to do all the painting and all of the staging and all the little tiny upgrades that we did throughout the house. Now, these upgrades were not major upgrades. There's stuff like, we fixed a broken window, we power washed the exterior, we painted the exterior, we painted the interior. There was some gold trim. In this picture, you might be able to see the archway was gold at one point. Not the best looking archway for this home. We painted it back to white. This is a Spanish style home, and a lot of Spanish style architectures, it's a little bit subdued. It's a little more subtle. It's not necessarily bright and loud with gold and blue accents and stuff. I think they thought they were in Santorini or something, because the exterior, I don't know if you can see this, there's a blue door back there. I guess that they thought that goes with a Spanish style home. We disagreed. So anyway, we depersonalized it. We took a lot of the personal touches that the homeowners loved, and I'm happy they loved it. Good for them. But to get it ready for market, we wanted to depersonalize and brighten it. So the point is, though, is we've got about $500,000 more Do you think your clients would be willing to spend $15,000 to make $500,000?
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Absolutely, 100%. Now, on the flip side, if we went into a house where everything looked really, really nice, the furniture was gorgeous, the lighting was great, the walls didn't need to be repainted, there was not a lot of personal accent marks or whatever, and really we just needed to rearrange some of the furniture, would I recommend doing this extensive staging? No, I wouldn't. I would just say, honestly, we just need to move some stuff around a little bit and keep it at that. Don't spend the money. I don't think they're going to see that return because it's already show ready. This house was not really in showing condition when we first brought it, took the listing. So for this one, it made sense. And you're going to get a feel for these kind of things, but you're going to realize that with a little bit of extra here, a little bit of extra there, we can really make this look like some of these other homes that are selling at this price point. So just keep that in mind. That's something that you're going to want to end up doing in some instances. Oops, didn't mean to show that picture. Oh, well, me hanging out with a bunch of friends. Anyway, so that's that. Let's see.
So who ends up paying for the staging? Does it just come off at the end, or is it the concierge service that we have? Or?
Yeah, so we have a concierge service where they can pay the stager after the close of escrow through the proceeds. I use Meredith Bear for this one. I don't know if Meredith Bear is part of our concierge program. I don't think they are. And I don't think that they accept that. I think they only accept money up front and that's it. So depending on the property, I may recommend that they pay up front and use, somebody like Meredith Bear, who's tried, tested, and proven that they know what they're doing. And they really do make homes look, listen, they make a fixer look like, oh my God, I love this home. I can just move right into it. And that's what really the power of staging really is they could really make something look phenomenal without really a lot of work. It's just bringing furniture in. So in this case, it worked. And yes, so you can use the concierge program, or if it's really something that you really feel, wow, you know what? If I could bring this up to really, really show ready condition, and I think I could get maybe, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 more, then yeah, I would say go with Meredith Bear. But that does take a little bit of feel and a little bit of experience. I personally was in construction for 8 years before I got into real estate. So I kind of understood home values and how much something is worth and how much is it going to cost to remodel a home and all that kind of stuff. So I was really confident with Sharon that, yeah, it made sense for us to go ahead and do all the staging and spend the money. But for some people, you might be a little bit gun shy and a little nervous to recommend something like that. And that's where it's not a big deal at all to bring your mentor into the loop, contact an agent that you trust, or you feel that they're experienced enough to really advise you on that. But typically, talk to your mentor, ask their opinion, see what they think too. Okay. All righty. So, okay. Now, according to the National Association of Realtors in 2015, the profile of home staging, the median cost spent on home staging is $675. That does not exist here in Los Angeles. I assure you that. It's going to cost a lot more than that. It'll be in the, I'd say anywhere, if it's a really small home and it's like a 2-bedroom place, maybe 5,000. And it's going to go up from there. So just keep that in mind. Staging is not cheap. This is not accurate for Los Angeles. And where is that money most often spent? So again, keep in mind in Los Angeles, most stagers don't just do one room staging. They will say, no, we have to stage the entire home. So just keep that in mind. So this graphic shows the other rooms rank in importance for interior and staging. Now, that said, they did stage the entire home, but yes, the living room had the focal point, had the most stuff added to it. But what they say, according to the material, the living room is the most important. The kitchen is second most important. Then 3 is the master bedroom. 4 is the dining room. And then they say 5 is the exterior. I don't believe that one iota. The exterior is extremely important, especially when you first walk up to the house. So I think curb appeal is just as important as the living room. That's just my personal opinion. If you really can't do anything to change the curb appeal, don't worry about it. Just focus on the living room and stuff like that. And just maybe like slap some new paint on it or, whatever. Again, though, if your clients are really cash strapped, that might not be an option for you. You got to just work with it. And that's where we got to work on price. All right. So, importance of staging. How would you handle the following objections? I don't see why staging is so important. So everybody on the call, how would you handle this objection? I don't see why staging is so important. Now, keep in mind, we've looked at this property and we were like, oh my gosh, if we could just stage this, it would go in like a heartbeat and they'd get more money. And it would definitely cost, cover the cost of how much it would cost to stage the property. How would you handle the objection? There's no right or wrong answer. They have an answer for the book, but I'm just curious how you all would handle that objection. I don't see why it's so important to stage.
I think it would be helpful to have examples, like show them before and afters and have just like proof that it works.
Yeah, absolutely. I would 100% show them, the thing that I just showed on my Instagram. I would say, hey, listen, this is before we staged it. This is after we staged it. Before we staged it, we got offers at 1.2, 1.3 million. After we staged it, we ended up selling for 1.7 million. Does it make sense? Absolutely. And, we could go from there. What are some other things? So the book says, if we want to sell fast or for more money than your competing sellers, we need to stand out in terms of condition. What are the only things that we can control as listing agents? Can we control the location? No. Can't move the house. I mean, unless you're selling mobile homes, but I don't think we are here in Beverly Hills. Can we control our neighbors? No. What can we control?
The look of it. The looks.
Great. Condition. Absolutely. So what's the other thing that we can control?
Pricing.
Boom. Price and condition. I love it. Oh, we're on fire today. So yes, price and condition. Those are the only two things that we can control. So in the absence of condition, we can lower the price. If the condition is better, we can raise the price. So these are all very important things that we need to articulate to our clients whenever we're talking about these topics. Okay, do we really have to make this repair? So you're going through the house, let's say you agreed to do a little bit of staging here and there, but we also noticed that there's some things that we needed to repair. Ooh, I don't know. Let's think of some stuff. Maybe there are some watermarks or something, from a past leak. Do we want to maybe fix that a little bit? I would think so. Absolutely. I would definitely want to maybe put some paint over that. I would disclose, once we're, in the process of going through escrow, or if they're going, is there anything that you'd like to disclose right now? Oh yeah, there was an old leak, the window, they forgot to close the window. So the drywall got a little messed up underneath the sill, and we painted over it, but we want to let you know in full disclosure. But after repairing that, they might not care. They might be like, well, did you repair it? Yeah, we did. Okay, well, that's fine. So, no big deal. At least as long as we're disclosing, there's nothing bad about doing that. Maybe there's a broken window. Maybe there's maybe your client had some teenagers and they punched a hole in the door or something like that. Who knows? Maybe there's I don't know. We can go on and on and on. But let's say they say, do we really have to make this repair? How would we respond to that? And these aren't big repairs. Let's just say, all in all, the repairs are going to cost $1,000 to repair everything. How about? Go for it.
For me, I just kind of explain, how it's adding value to the property, and that they're really eventually going to get more money in return off of that. And also maybe comparing it to other homes in their neighborhood, saying, oh, well, you know, they don't really have any of these paint problems in their property. So I think if we can do this and add that, it'll, you know, end up getting a better selling price and a more better return for your money.
Right. Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. I mean, and also, well, okay, we could either take care of this repair right now, or we can wait until we're in escrow and the inspection period comes up, and then they ask for, you know, the repair later. But either way, we're likely going to have to repair it anyway. So wouldn't we rather just take care of it right now? But then also think about it like this. If you're going through a house and you see all these little visible issues with the property, is that going to make the buyer a little bit more nervous during the inspection period? Are they going to maybe go through it with a finer tooth comb, maybe with a magnifying glass to make sure everything else is in order? What about the electrical? What about the plumbing? Oh gosh, what about termite damage? You know, all of a sudden these other questions start popping up, because if what we see on the surface is looking bad, what do you think is going on in the interior? So we want to at least present the best possible product to these potential buyers as possible, not only just because, you know, we're probably going to have to pay for it anyway, you know, whether it's, you know, a reduction in purchase price or in credits, but also because, you know, we don't want to present a house with visible problems, because if there's visible problems, there's unforeseen problems, and that might help hurt our sellability. So that's another thing that I would bring up. And let's see what the book says. We can just wait. We can just sell it the way it is, but if it's likely, going to take longer, we probably won't get as much money. My recommendation is to have it repaired so that we can get the best price possible in the shortest amount of time. The choice is yours. What would you like to do? Make the repair or take it longer to sell? I like that one. So, you know, that could be a very, very good option for us to give to our clients and explain to them, you know, why it's important. Why can't we sell the house as is? Well, let's see. Would you prefer to pay a few $100s to paint a room, or do you prefer to deduct $500 to $1,000 for the sellers from the sales price? Since buyers use outstanding repairs to negotiate a lower price, it's usually in your best interest to make the repairs rather than have to negotiate with the buyer. Absolutely, I agree with that. So, you know, these are definitely like important points to bring up to our sellers. Okay, marketing the listing. Put your listing on the buyer's radar. Your 14-step marketing plan, which you presented to the sellers in your listing consultation, is designed to produce maximum exposure quickly and allow you to capture as many buyers as possible. Price the home competitively with the current market price trends. Advise sellers on how to attract buyers by showing them their home in the best possible light. Place a for sale signs with the buyer's flyer, with property flyers, easily accessible to drive-by buyers. Respond to all buyer inquiries immediately. Optimize the home's internet presence by posting on your property on Keller Williams listing system, the local and global MLS systems, and on social media. Also market the home on multiple websites, including your own site. Put the home on your branded KW app, which frankly, I don't really use that often. It automatically does that these days anyway. Create flyers and comment cards for viewers of the property. Distribute just listed notices to the neighbors, encouraging them to tell family and friends about the home. Target your market to active real estate agents who specialize in selling homes in this neighborhood. Include the home in your company and MLS tours, allowing other agents to see the home for themselves. Create an open house schedule. Target active buyers and investors in your database. Provide the seller with weekly updates detailing your marketing efforts. These are all very, very important things, and really, frankly, just the basics. And if you want, you could even expand these points to make it look like you're doing a lot more. Okay, your turn. Marketing action steps. Pricing is the home priced properly according to the market comps? If not, is it too high or is it too low? What would make you think this? You know, that's a good question to ask. Signage must be placed according to any homeowner association restrictions and with local traffic patterns in mind. Where will your signs be? Staging. Was the house properly staged? Images. What features of the home will you want to emphasize in online photographs? Buyer profile. What is the buyer profile for the home you've chosen? First time buyers, young families. Okay. Be a little bit careful with that. Unfortunately, the way we market homes nowadays, we can't say, oh, I want to market this property to people the ages between 25 and 40. Why do I pick that number? Those two numbers? Well, because it's a first time home buyer kind of home. You know, maybe it's a condo. Maybe it's in a young neighborhood. Can I do that legally?
No, I think
nope.
And why can't I?
I have an older.
And why can't I? Goes against fair housing laws. And so, for example, you're saying you're being ageist. I don't want anybody, in fact, you have to market anybody between the ages of 18 and I think it's like 65 or something like that. I think that's like what the rule is. But yeah, it's you can't Facebook target people that way. I think it's a little silly because, you know, I don't think anybody's being, you know, overtly, you know, biased to anyone. It's just, this is who lives in these neighborhoods, you know, but technically speaking, you are being choosy and that's very illegal. And you got to be very careful about that. Race, creed, religion, age, sex, gender, all that stuff. You can't get in on that at all. Now you can, you know, direct message, you know, stuff to people who you think might fit the profile for the neighborhood. But again, that's really kind of dangerous waters, so to speak. So you just want to be, you know, out in the open and send it out there. Obviously, this is a little bit old. Okay. Hold an effective open house. Put your marketing strategy and one of your 14 steps. Part of your marketing strategy and one of your 14 steps is to show the property through an open house. Holding an open house is an excellent way to market your listing and market yourself as a real estate expert. Open houses benefit the seller by attracting buyers to their home. The more visits a house gets, the faster it will sell. Buyers love open houses. Now, here's the part that we love personally, and actually more important than the first part, even though we're being fiduciaries, because yes, this does benefit our sellers, but more importantly for us, they offer a relatively safe and non-aggressive sales environment. They provide opportunity for great face-to-face prospecting. The open house event and the time leading up to and after provides opportunity for you to build relationships, market your name to a geographic farm, and secure the neighborhood's mind share. Very, very important. All right. So let's watch this video real quick. How to hold an effective open house. Let me get on to the thingy. Hold an effective open house. So yeah, let's watch this and we'll have a quick discussion once it's finished and we'll go from there.
Hi, I'm Chris Suarez, and I'm here to tell you the 5 steps to holding an effective open house. Step 1, strategically select the home you want to hold open. Choose a home that gives you the greatest potential to have buyers and sellers find you. This might be a home that is in a great traffic pattern, whether that be car traffic or people walking by in walkable neighborhoods in your community. Select a home around a local event where neighbors or even out-of-town people might be stopping in. Step 2 of holding an effective open house is advertising and marketing. Marketing begins a week in advance of any open house you might hold open. Begin by posting internet ads a week before. Get a sign in the yard and let neighbors and passerbys know that the home will be open later in the week. Remember to contact both by phone and email any internet leads or phone calls you've received on that listing prior to the open house. Don't forget to make 50 calls around the home prior to the open house and door knock, a radius of about 2 or 3 blocks. Step 3, know your scripts. Know what you're going to say to greet the visitor. Know what questions you're going to ask while they're in the home. One of the greatest first lines you could use is, "Thanks for stopping in to tour my open house. Are you one of the neighbors or are you out shopping for a home today?" Immediately, you'll know if you're dealing with a potential buyer or a potential seller. Step 4 is keep the right mindset and prepare. Remember, open houses are lead generation activities, so enter with the mindset of a top lead generator. Prepare yourself with comparable properties, market research, at least 2 or 3 other homes that you could potentially show should the opportunity arise. And step 5, always follow up with every lead that comes through that door. Call them, email them, write thank you notes that same day. A simple follow-up script to use directly after an open house. It goes like this. Thanks for stopping into my open house this morning. It was great to meet you. I did a little bit of digging in the office after we met and after the open house and found 3 other properties I think really fit your search criteria. I know the home that we saw this morning wasn't quite perfect, but these 3 have some real potential. We could get into them tomorrow at 4 or at 6, which would work better for you. Great, let's meet at my office and we can go from there. My biggest aha when doing open houses is remembering open houses are not a technique to keep current sellers happy. In reality, open houses are great lead generation tools to connect with potential future buyers and sellers. By using effective scripts and systems leading up to the open house and great follow-up techniques after the open house, you'll build a met database of future buyers and sellers. Thanks for watching KW Connect and make it a great day.
All righty. So what are some things that stood out in that little video that we just watched? Not all at once, y'all. Anybody?
I thought the beginning was pretty interesting when he said to pick a strategic house. Like he had options to pick where he wanted to list. I didn't quite understand that first point.
So I forget if that was the first point, but I think what he was saying, I think he was referring to, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe you're talking about something different, and tell me if I'm talking about something totally different. But I think he was referring to when you're hosting an open house, pick a couple of other listings in the neighborhood that are on the market that are similar to the property that you're hosting an open house for. So that when somebody comes in and you go, so what do you think of the property? And they go, you know what? I loved it. Wasn't for me. Great. Have you seen these 3 homes that are also in the same neighborhood at this price point? Oh, no, I haven't seen that home. Great. Let's go set an appointment to go look at that property. Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah, I think so. That makes sense. I think
Yeah.
the first bullet point was like pick a strategic location for the open house or something like that.
Oh, maybe he was, admittedly, I walked to grab a glass of water, but maybe he was talking about maybe a location in the home. So like when people walk in, you want them to go through the living room first and then into the kitchen to do the sign-in sheet. Or maybe you wanted to have the sign-in sheet in the living room. So they walk in and you have a nice conversation with the people in the living room. That may have been what he was referring to. I've listened to this video quite a few times. I've never been asked that specific question, but I have been asked very frequently about picking a strategic homes in the neighborhood that are, comparable properties to yours, mainly because, and I do this all the time, actually, most of my open houses that I'm doing, I will first talk to the people who come to the open house. I'll introduce myself. Great, we're having a nice convo. They sign in, they say, I show them the home, or they walk around the home by themselves, et cetera, whatever. And then I'll go, hey, listen, what did you think of the property? And oftentimes, they'll either go, I loved it. And I'll say, great, would you like to write an offer? I can, help you with that right now. That way I'm representing them. Or they'll say, you know what? We walked around, it looked great, but the backyard's not big enough for us. It's just not for us. It's not going to work. Okay, great. Have you looked at any of the other homes that are on the market in this neighborhood? Oh, no, my agent only sent me to this one. Okay, do you have a signed, exclusive agreement with your agent as a buyer's agent? No. Okay, great. Well, just so you know, there's 3 other homes that are listed for sale in this neighborhood. And I know one of them has a much larger yard. Would you want me to go set up an appointment for you today? Absolutely. Great. I'll even put a be back in 10 minutes sign on the door and go show them that other property, as long as there's not a lot of people running around the open house. And mainly I'm doing that because, yeah, I want to represent them on the buyer side. And they're not going to buy the house anyway. They flat out just said, I'm not interested. So there's no harm, no foul there. And I'll do that even if I'm sitting somebody else's open house. And I'll be honest with the agent too. You know, listen, my priority is to try to sell this house. But after the conversations and after this and after that, they've still said, there's no way I'm going to write an offer on this property. I'm going to show them another property. Is that fine with you? Yeah, no worries. Take whatever buyer you want. Most experienced agents get that. So I think that that's what he was referring to. But on the other hand, if there was a moment he was saying, put yourself strategically in the home somewhere, I think it's mainly because, you know, for like, I want you to walk through the house a certain way. It shows better when you walk through it this way. I want you to see the living room first. Then I want you to see the kitchen. Then I want to have a conversation in there. Then I want to show you the master bedroom, and then let you go off and explore the home on your own, and then have a nice conversation with that. And for me personally, I like to position myself kind of close to the front door, or at least within eyesight of the front door. So when people walk in, they see me, they know to come over to me so they can, you know, sign in. And also I can see everybody as they're leaving, so I can ask them some questions. So both of those answers might be the right answer for you. Anybody else get any, you know, final, you know, things that popped up that you found interesting in that?
I think it was a good reminder just how quickly to follow up with people once they've been to your open house. Same day or next day is just really important, and a missed opportunity if you don't do it that quickly.
Absolutely, 100%. Really, we should be following up with people the same day. So whenever I'm doing an open house, I had to like mentally tell myself, your job does not end when the open house ends. You still got another hour and a half to 2 hours of work to do. And that typically is two of the following. One, making sure I'm shutting down the house properly, closing all the windows, turning off all the lights, locking all the doors, and making sure that, you know, it is left, you know, locked up. That's number one. Number two is I want to sit down and make sure that I'm sending an email, a text message, a phone call if it's somebody who's like, hey, I'm interested in writing the offer. You know, call me immediately when you're done with the open house so we can submit. Depending on which, I'm gonna literally follow up with everybody that same day. Plus, you know, if they say, oh, you know, I'm really not interested in the property, you know, I was hoping for this, there might be another house that's on the market that I could send directly to them just to show my value even more. Because oftentimes what a lot of realtors will do is only like pick like 2 or 3 properties to show them and keep it to just that. You know, and that's fine. And that's your opportunity to steal them away from another realtor. Another thing that that stood out to me is that holding open houses is really an opportunity for lead generation. That is really the main goal when you're doing an open house. Yes, first sell the house to a prospective buyer. But I'm going to be honest with you. I know a lot of people listen to Tom Ferry and all that. No one's that good of a salesperson that they're going to sell a house to somebody that they're not interested in. Maybe there's 1 or 2 people in the world who could probably do that. But other than that, if someone's not interested in a property, they're just not interested. But they are interested in buying a house. And that's your opportunity to convert that person into a buying client. So I just look at open houses as a great lead generation opportunity. Frankly, a lot of the houses that I list for sale, I end up double ending it, meaning I represent the buyer and the sellers who hired me to sell their listing. And I do that, you know, one, through a lot of my, you know, Facebook and online marketing, but then also, frankly, just at the open house itself. You know, somebody says, oh, you know, I am working with an agent, but, you know, they didn't even send me this. I found this on Zillow. I'll be like, well, great, you know, sounds like your agent's not doing their job, but, you know, I'm willing to help you out right now. And in fact, if you write an offer through me, I might even be able to save the sellers a little bit of money on the commission side. So that way you're actually it makes your offer even stronger. And then, you know, I'm able to double end it, and it's great because I get double commission. So always very good lead generating opportunities for sure. All righty. Anything else before we keep going into the material? We're almost done, I promise. All right. So now for the remaining of the class, I'm just going to kind of skip down a little bit to the next video so we can watch that before we go. But before we get into this, another really important thing about, doing the open houses is, one second, I just saw it. Oops. Oh, where was it? Oh yeah. Okay. So it's door knocking. So again, this is really a lead generating opportunity for all of us. We want to get the word out to the entire neighborhood. This is a great time for you to door knock other homes in the area. This one says door knock the surrounding 100 homes. Turn that into 300 homes. Hit every single door within like a 3 to 4 block radius. I mean, he says 2 block. I say more than that. And really get after it, be like, hey, listen, studies show that 80% of people who move to a certain neighborhood move to that neighborhood because they know somebody in that neighborhood who lives there currently. Boom. Do you know anybody who's interested in moving to the neighborhood? If they say no, my next follow-up is going to be like, have you ever considered selling your property? And it's a great lead generation opportunity for sure. Also leveraging the internet, very important. Social media, also very important. These are all marketing things that we can be doing continuously through this whole process to, one, market ourselves for more listings and market ourselves for buyers. So these are really, really great lead generating opportunities. Also, remember that we need to communicate with our sellers. After every single open house, your sellers are going to want a report. Hey, how did the open house go? Anybody interested? Or you can already set up an expectation for them and say something along the lines of, every single Monday, we're going to have a 10-minute call to just give you an update on how the open houses went, what the feedback was, and if we're expecting any offers. And I like to do that just because, frankly, right after an open house, I'm in lead generation mode. I'm calling, back clients. I'm contacting the buyers. I'm going to have an additional convo with them. Just say, hey, I just wanted to retouch on what we were talking about before. I know this house isn't for you, but you said that you're looking for this, this, and that. Do you want to expand on that? Because it probably wouldn't hurt if I was also looking for you. And do it that way. So very important stuff. Keep in mind, open houses are really a huge lead generation opportunity for us. Okay, so communication checklist. Everybody's going to be different. Let me ask you this, and I hope somebody actually responds. If you're talking to a millennial versus talking to somebody who's 75 years old, do you think that they might want to be communicated to differently? Maybe the millennial prefers text messages. Maybe the 75-year-old likes a phone call. Can you see that there's a big difference in how we're going to be communicating with those two clients? Absolutely. So make sure we're talking about communication style. I answered the question for you, but make sure we're talking about our communication style with our clients and what their preferred mode of communication is. I know some agents who get angry at their clients, like, oh my God, she won't even open up emails. So call her or him, call them. It's not that hard, us young people, we don't like, I'm not even that young anymore, but we don't like to pick up the phone for some reason. Pick up the phone, it helps. Match style, in person or on the phone, always seek to match their communication style. Always update. Updates should happen even when there may be no new information to share. If there is no news, consider if there needs to be a change in condition, price, or both. No news is news, big time, especially in real estate. It's been on the market for 2 weeks. There's no news. That's not good. That's news. So make sure we're communicating with people. Be prompt. Always respond as soon as possible or on the expected schedule. Again, I like to set up an expected schedule. Never talk down. Always communicate as a partner with your customer. That one is difficult for me sometimes. I'm not going to lie, but we always need to make sure we're not talking down to our clients. And it's going to be very frustrating. And you might tell me, Jared, why would you ever talk down to your client? That'd be horrible. when you repeat yourself 1,200 different times and they still are, taking their advice from their mechanic uncle in, Minnesota, yeah, that could get a little frustrating at times. But, we have to remind ourselves, these people are a little bit nervous. We're here to help them. And, they may repeat things that, you've already talked about, and just to be patient and to realize you're there to be on their side and to protect their best interests. Okay. Keep a log, maintain communication log with your clients and stuff. Absolutely very important. Decision maker focus, always include all decision makers, and a great attitude. Always be enthusiastic and positive. Okay. So yeah, now another big thing is customer experience. How important do you think customer experience is? Very important. Let me ask you this. I had a friend who had 4 listings, and his client called him and said, I'm really freaking out. I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand a lot of these forms that I have to sign. I don't know what to do. And I proceeded to see this real estate agent on the phone say, well, I'm really sorry about that. I'm in a really busy, important meeting right now, but I can get back to you tomorrow. His important meeting that he was on was having lunch with me. I'm a fellow real estate agent, and we weren't talking about business. We were just getting lunch. Do you think that that is a smart move as a real estate agent? No, it's not. You're not looking after your client's best interests. You're looking after your interests at that point. We are in a service-oriented business. Now, there are going to be times of day where you just don't pick up your phones. You just don't do business at those times. I'm like that. After 6 o'clock, I consider it complete shutdown mode. I don't, pick up my phones. I don't get into, if it's like a level 10 emergency, then yeah, fine. Like code red, fine. I'll get on the phone. Absolutely. But for most instances, it's like, okay, I understand that. Let me get back to you in the morning. I'm just sitting down for dinner, but I'll get back to you. At least I'll respond with that, But, there are certain times of day where you're not going to be accessible. But just make sure you're at least getting back to them in a timely manner, or at least communicating when you will get back to them, if it's not that important. If it's just, hey, I was looking for an update for how the open houses went, today. Hey, they went really, really great. Let me sit down and give you a call in the morning so we can go over it in depth. Great. You're communicating with them. You're letting them know, hey, don't worry, we're going to talk about it in the morning. You just, you're doing your other stuff. You're following up and all that kind of fun stuff. Very important. Okay, so last video, create a wow experience, and then we'll pretty much end it after that. And then we can open up to some questions before we leave, or if you got to go right on the dot at 1 o'clock, no worries, not insulted. 1 sec, where is my screen? Oh, I didn't realize I wasn't sharing. Okay, here we go.
Hi, I'm Josh Bath, and I'm here to talk to you about creating a wow experience with your clients. Creating that wow experience with your clients starts right from the initial interview. When you're sitting down with them and you're listening to them and you're asking them good questions, that's really what sets you apart from the rest of the agents that just go in there and talk. The mindset should be not, what am I going to ask them next before they've even finished their sentence with you? The mindset should be, what are you saying to me? A couple things that I do to establish a really good wow experience for my clients. I tell them that a photographer is going to contact them. I tell them that a home stager is going to contact them. And after that's done, I follow up with them. And I ask them, so how was your experience with my photographer? Now, I already know that the photographer I've chosen is incredible, and they're going to deliver great service the way I deliver great service, except I get to use the service they use as an extension for the energy I'm creating with them in that wow experience. Once their home's listed, how I continue on with that wow experience, I just communicate with them almost every other day. And that communication is either by phone, by text, or a follow-up on an email. The advice I would give you, if you're looking for a place to begin, I'd sit down with a notepad of paper in a quiet place and just start writing out naturally in your mind everything that you do from the moment you've sat in their living room to the moment you've gone back to the office and handed the file to your assistant. How are you communicating with them? What are you doing? These are all incredible steps to communicate back to your seller, because normally they don't know what's going on. And if you're telling them what you're doing, you're helping them remove some of that fear and building confidence and trust in you, which is exactly what creates that wow experience. For people thinking that they need to do something big and as a result never doing anything at all, go back to small. It's not about being over the top and big. Sometimes wow is just following up with them when you said you were going to follow up with them. Or it could just be as simple as paying attention to some of their needs, like they don't have time to cut the grass. Maybe you might hire someone to cut the grass. That'll blow their mind. And for you, you can hire a local neighborhood kid. That doesn't cost very much. Little things like that, though, go a long way for referral business and creating a customer for life and that wow experience.
Awesome. Love it. So, any questions, any comments, any aha moments that they talk about all the time? All righty. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining. I hope you have a great rest of your day. We will begin on Monday again this next week. And I hope everybody has a really, really awesome coming up weekend, and get out there, talk to some people, and do some lead generation, y'all. Cheers. Have a great one.
Thanks. Have a good one. Thanks.
Thanks, Jared.